It's good to have you back today, by the way, because you know we were sitting here last week, don't you?
Salty and Keogh. That must have been a miserable show. I'm going to go back and listen to that. How much complaining was in that show between Keogh and Salty?
There was a little bit, but they were on time, to be fair.
Oh, were they? Yeah. That's why they're here. One show a month. They have to be. Where's Crookie today?
Yeah, racing. Martin Keogh tipped Chelsea to be dark horses and potentially challenge Arsenal in the Premier League title race this season. This was him speaking on this show with Jim and Simon on Monday.
You've got to look at Chelsea starting to pick up a little bit, Jim. Chelsea looking like they're starting to become a little bit formidable. Man City going through the gears, Jim. So look, Arsenal just need to keep winning their games. They've not done an awful lot wrong, Jim. They're pretty well top of the top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League table as well, pretty on points.
There you go.
That was Martin Keown, who was talking about the possibility of Chelsea being involved in the title race. They're third. They're 6 points off the top. Mm-hmm. Now, listen, our producer, the ref, he's a big Chelsea fan, and he is
the only one.
He was saying to me, you know, they can do it. They can get involved. And I was like, I don't think they can. I don't think that they've got the ability to do that. And he says they can push it. I went to Man City on Sunday.
Yeah.
I thought they were brilliant. I thought they were really good. I went the Wednesday as well, and I thought they were really good there as well. They'll be good challengers. I've seen Arsenal so much this season. I went to Prague with them last week. They are terrific. They're so well organised. Chelsea aren't at that level.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think my frustration is with Chelsea and this model, this whole new buying kids model, and then complaining that we don't have the experience because we've got kids. It's kind of like an oxymoron, isn't it? It's a little bit of the same.
Yeah, but they're not complaining about it. We are complaining about it. Supporters and observers are complaining about it. I'm complaining about it.
After the draw to Karabag, which felt like a loss, he was talking about the experience.
Yeah, but he wanted it as well, and they said no. So he wanted to bring in an experienced centre-back in the summer because they got the injury to Colwell.
Yeah.
And they said, no, find the solution from within the organisation.
Yeah, I look at Chelsea and I just don't know. I don't know when it's going to click, if you get what I mean. I think they're going to buy young again next year. They're going to be in the same position that they're in next year. I think Chelsea are going to be...
So what's the end game then?
I don't know. Just become a higher version of Brighton that has really young, talented players that you end up selling on to Real Madrid and Barcelona.
But Brighton have a lot of experience in their ranks that see those younger players
I don't disagree.
Through games and help develop those players. Chelsea don't have any of that.
But also, when you look at Chelsea and they got the young kid Estevao, who is going to be an absolute monster. I remember we had when we was out for the Club World Cup, me and Ade did a show with Kleberson. And Kleberson said to us at that time, this is the next Neymar. And it was a massive statement, but it wasn't one of like him trying to just big up a South American. He was like, I'm telling you, he's the next Neymar. So since then, I've obviously kept an eye on him, and he's been fantastic. But he's the only real top quality winger you've got at the moment of the 4 or 5 that you've got.
Okay, well, I was looking at the statistics and the data, and if you look at the...
That's not like you.
I know. I will get a life one day. Per 90, I mean, the top performer obviously is Erling Haaland, right?
Yeah.
In terms of statistics, XG and XG assists. Then it comes in the top 5, Estevao, Garnacho, and Enzo Fernandez, who has been a very high contributor.
Garnacho would be... because his minutes have been limited as well, right?
It is, and obviously came up with 2 assists at the weekend.
Yeah, but yeah.
That's being against Wolves.
Of course. Listen,
but they have firepower. Or do
they? Do they? My frustration is that the fact that they can turn up in these big games. So obviously worked the Club World Cup, PSG, was the best game I've seen of an English side in the past 10 years. They were so good.
They were
every single player was an 8 and 8.5 and above. They were fantastic against a wonderful PSG team. And then you look through the course of this season, again, worked the Brighton game. They were winning but were poor. And again, sendings off. No, it was all of their own doing. Man United was all of their own doing.
Yeah.
But then they'll beat Liverpool. And then when they play Arsenal...
Not a showcase of raw talent, but then the lack of consistency comes from the fact that they are such a youthful group.
Yeah, but I think it's more mentality that you can get up for these bigger games. And I did some work over in the States recently and got a little bit of stick for it. And I asked Jamie Carragher, like Conor Bradley, for example, has been inconsistent, I would say, this year. and that's not all his own fault because Liverpool have been as well. Comes up against Vinicius Junior and he's excellent, best player on the pitch. The following week against Doku, who's in a great moment, obviously, looks like he's never played football before. So is it a mentality thing now with these younger players that they need that fear factor of a big name and someone that's considered a world star to get up for it? And just taking it back to Chelsea, you can look through their biggest teams, biggest moments, they all turn up. When they beat Liverpool, hardly anyone was fit and available. Everyone, general consensus, said Liverpool were going to win. And they come up and they do a wonderful performance. So for me, it's more of this, like, do they need that little bit of fear in them to perform? Maybe.
I also think that they lack a little bit of quality at the bottom end of the pitch. I mean, the top end of the pitch, obviously, they want to have a striker. But I just don't think that they've got enough in that area.
Let's fit to the goalie.
They're getting well protected by Moises Caicedo, who's a terrific midfield player, probably one of the best in the league, especially in his position.
Yep.
The goalkeeper, I think, is capable of making unbelievable saves, but also capable of making a mistake and being a little bit rash. And I think that's pretty well known. So that's not a surprise. So I think those sort of departments of the team still need a little bit of work. And I do think, without that top level number 9, that is going to be an issue. Look, Liam Delap may end up being that player. But I think they just need someone a little bit more.
He's struggling at the moment, obviously, whether it be through injury, whether it be through getting sent off. But I also think it's the first time he's having to deal with a low block. When he was at Ipswich, everyone was coming onto him, so it gave him that pace and power that he's got to run in behind. I think now he's having to be a little bit cuter in these areas, and there's a lot of development there. And I find it interesting, but João Pedro is being flogged like a dead horse at this moment in time for no other reason than everybody else is, not fit and available. So, it's an interesting Chelsea team. You know what it's about as well, Sam? Feeling. Chelsea don't give you the feeling that they're ready to win.
They're not ready to win the Premier League. They may win a cup competition this year because they can put a string of good performances together in a row.
Yeah.
There's always a little blip that comes into them because they just haven't got the consistency. And I think that is going to be...
They've got Arsenal not this week after,
interestingly, because, obviously the big talk is about Arsenal now and Manchester City and it being a 2-horse race. But Arsenal's return to domestic action is quite tough. The landing is bumpy because after the internationals, they have the North London derby. Brooke and I will be at that. You won't be racing that day. Then Bayern and Chelsea in the same 7 days. Now, that is some stretch.
Yeah, I think they'll blow out Spurs, to be honest with you. Obviously, it's a derby, so you can expect Spurs to do a little bit different, but I think that well-oiled machine of Arsenal just blow out Spurs, unfortunately. Bayern game's going to be fascinating because Bayern have been fantastic.
Why unfortunately?
Why unfortunately
would they blow out Spurs? Why is it unfortunate?
Because I like derbies to have that feel, that edge to it, and obviously the way that the referee is at nowadays, and not to dig at rest before he comes running in there, the producer. I just think the way that the rules have gone now don't allow for those spiky moments anymore for Spurs to level the playing field. I think Spurs are doing okay with the Thomas Frank, but I think Arsenal just are too well-oiled.
Last week, you were allowed to kick anyone in the penalty area and not give away a penalty and elbow people in the head. It was fine. What are you talking about?
But you know what's going to happen, mate. As soon as someone touches Saka, it'll be a pen. But I think the Bayern game is fantastic. And then I also think Chelsea will be up for that game. They'll be Chelsea and they'll get up for it. They'll probably have they'll have an awful game in the Champions League. They'll have an awful performance. They'll probably win, but have an awful performance and then deliver a wonderful performance against Arsenal.
We'll see. Mikel Arteta's side still unbeaten in 14 games in all competitions. They do land with the North London derby when they come back. Their lead at the top of the table was cut in the last week when Manchester City beat Liverpool and they dropped points at Sunderland. Still quite a lot to come, including Jorginho Rutter on this programme because Alex Crook has done something this week and he has been speaking to Jorginho Rutter and we're going to hear that interview in just a second. This is talkSPORT with Sam Adderface and Troy Deeney. We're here through till 1 o'clock this afternoon with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deal at selcobw.com.